Well, welcome to my YouTube channel, one and all. This is your host, ID Jester. If there is one thing that my YouTube channel is, it is a combination of board games and war games and strategy games, and a kind of a blend of all those. I've got video series on board games, I got video series on computer games, I got video series on war games. And I've kind of just blend all those into one aspect, and there is no other game probably out there right now that can blend more of those aspects together than Conflict of Heroes. So today I'm going to be going over and doing a video tutorial and review of Conflict of Heroes. For those of you who don't know anything about this was originally released as a board game, a very good board game. If we go into the credits here, you can actually see that Academy Games actually produced the board game originally. Very good board game. They've actually got a couple expansions out, a Polish expansion that'll give you Polish and German and Russian scenarios, etc., etc. This game was the electronic copy of this game was actually designed, I believe, by Western Civilization Software and is sold through Matrix Games. It's been out for a while. I've been dying to get this game, but I actually haven't got around to it until the holiday season here of 2012. And one of the reasons I did was because let's get out of this. Of this down here, which actually shows it's now version 1.14.473. Obviously, this is the most up-to-date version. They just released it the other day. It's a massive 1.7 gig patch. It adds a bunch of stuff to the game and fixes some problems and just a whole bunch of great things. It's actually more up to date than actually their release screen that shows you that Conflict of Heroes is up to version 1.5. So this is a tactical World War II eastfront game, and it is based on the board game. So if you're familiar with the board game rules and such, which you can go to Academy Games and find and download the rules. If you're familiar with these rules, you will have no problem with playing this game whatsoever. It uses all of the basics behind the system, although there is some differences. There is multiplayer. You can actually go in, log into, I believe it's the Slytherin. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe it's a Slytherin website that you're logging into, and they will host a game. I actually was on last night with one of my friends, and we played a couple of the scenarios. I should say that I am very familiar with the board game. I actually designed some scenarios and sent them to Uwe over at Academy Games, and at one point I think he even had them on his website and such. So I'm very familiar with the board game. So I was very excited when they decided to come up with Conflict of Heroes, the electronic computer game. But it does have multiplayer capabilities. So you can log into the Slytherin site and host games and play with other people. You can actually do it locally. There are rules options you can get into that give you some variety into whether there's fog of war or variable action points and random quality, etc., etc. So you can decide all this stuff. What I thought I would do is get right into playing a little game here. As you can see, there's tutorial fights or firefight, which will kind of introduce you to the system if you're not familiar with it. There's the Awakening the Bear firefights, which are the actual scenarios that came with the Awakening the Bear board game. And I believe there are quite a few different variety of firefights that have been added. Frontier firefights, you can see there's quite a few of them as well. Very nice map introductions to each of the scenarios, kind of giving you an overview of what's going on here. You're going to have forces attacking, and it looks like the Russians are basically secured the hill in the middle of the map, and looks like the German player is going to have to come in and from multiple directions and attack and try to take over the hill. So very great map introductions to the scenarios, kind of just to give you a quick overview of how big maybe the scenario is going to be, what kind of units might be involved, etc. So these are frontier firefights. We also have the commanding heights. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I think this is like a series of scenarios that are linked together. Obviously, it's using one specific map in different locations. And we have a point buy firefight, which actually lets you spend points to buy units and set up scenarios that way. And of course, you can download additional firefights from the Matrix forums and install those on your computer, and you would have additional firefights. At this point, I don't have any. And of course, it comes with the original Awakening the Bear firefights as well. In this case, I'm just going to show you part of the game here. We'll play the very first scenario. It's just an infantry scenario, so I just want to give a basic overview to this. I'm going to play as the Germans, have the Russians play as the computer. I can set up a server, or I can cancel, and I can start the game. Nice little video introduction here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start the game. In this case, we are the German player. You can see when we're placing reinforcements, the blue hexes that are kind of blinking here. We have 2 rifle squads and 2 light machine gun squads that we can position. So we are going to do that. We're just going to click on a rifle squad. We're going to zoom in a little bit so I can get an idea of where I'm positioning this. You can see my little mouse cursor here shows an X. I can't actually put the units here, but when I place them in the hex, you can notice that the mouse will face a hex side, and each of your units will be facing a hex side. So we will do that, and you'll see our unit come down here. Another squad, we'll go ahead and put them there. A light machine gun we'll put here, and we'll put our other light machine gun here. And there we go. And we have tooltips, yada yada yada, which I will show you. Alright, first thing is you can left click to drag the map around and kind of analyze what's going on. You can use your roller button to zoom in and out of the map. You can actually right click on the map and you can rotate your camera view, which is kind of hard sometimes depending on how well you're zoomed in or zoomed out. So now I've got a position. I like to be behind my units so I can see what they can see. Basically, all the scenarios are going to be victory point based, and you're going to get victory point for killing your enemy, and you'll also have normally in a scenario some typical victory point location hexes. In this case, you can see the Russian player owns this hex. And if you just hover over it, it'll show you here. It'll tell you the name of the scenario, the crossroads. Axis will score 1 point if they own it. The Allies will score 1 point if they own it. And then that will be scored on turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Speaking of which, turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see up here at the top. These little clocks represent the number of turns there are in the scenario. And if they have any of these little symbols on it, that means there's going to be reinforcements for that side during that turn. So turn 2, the Russian player is going to get reinforcements. Turn 3, the German player is going to get reinforcements. So the scenarios are basically set up to for victory points. You can see over in the top right-hand corner over here, shows a little picture of our guy and kind of gives you a breakdown. We have 0 points. They have 0 points. And so there we go. So what's this game all about? Well, it's actually a very interesting little system. It is not very complex, and it's all built in, and you can figure out pretty much how things are going to play out based on the system is basically rolling 2d6. You're going to attack a unit. You're going to add your firepower. You're going to subtract their defensive, their defense of the, and you're going to get a number. You need to roll that number higher on 2d6 to damage that unit. They will get a random chit. If a unit's already damaged and already has a chit, they will die if they take a second hit. These little numbers above the units here, you can see they have a 7. Basically, each unit has 7 action points that they are going to use to spend to move and attack during their turn. So you have 7 points to spend, whether that's 7 points to spend on just moving, just attacking, or a combination of attacking and moving. So I could spend all 7 movement points to move this guy, 7 clear hexes. To move into an adjacent hex, it costs you 1 of your action points. Terrain, the light woods is 1 action point. The heavy woods is 2 action points. You can kind of hover over. You can see over in the bottom right-hand corner. This is heavy woods. It gives a +2 defense. It costs foot units 1 extra action point. Wheeled cannot enter, and tracked it costs 2 extra action points. If we look at this hex here, which is a clear hex, there's nothing, so it just costs 1 action point to go in there. We click on a unit. You will see that all the blue hexes show the hexes you can move into, and you will notice when I put my cursor in there, a little arrow will show the directioning of the facing that I want for your units. Why is that important? Well, if you look here, this is all the information about your squad down here that I've clicked on. You can see that this is your action points. I have 7 action points. This is basically my strength to attack unarmored units. I have a strength of 2. This is strength versus armored units. I have a strength of 0. This is my cost in APs to fire, so it costs me 3 action points to fire. This is my range. I have range of 5. Front defense. This is going to be a shot through my front defense, and again, each of your units are going to face a hex side. So this guy is kind of facing in the northeast direction, assuming this is north over here. This is north, this is east over here, so he's facing northeast. So his front facing is going to be this hex here, and this hex here. So he can enter into any one of those 3 hexes, and if he's attacked through any one of those 3 hexes, he's going to have a defense of 12. If he's attacked by a non-front facing, which would be the 3 hexes to his backside, this hex, and this hex, he has a defense of 11. Again, here's your movement costs. In APs, it costs you 1 to move this unit, and this is the number of bonus moves. I guess what I had mentioned earlier, that it only costs 1 to move into a hex, depends on your unit, obviously, but in this case, it's a infantry type unit. It's going to cost me 1 to move into a hex. So, unlike the board game, the biggest difference between the board game and this game, there's a few, I wouldn't say, but the biggest difference is it's a I go, you go system, and where I activate a unit and do something, and then you activate a unit and do something. We go back and forth throughout the turn until we both decide to pass. Once we both decide to pass, the turn ends, and we get a new turn. And we're going to go through this 5 times for this scenario. And at the end, whoever has the most victory points wins. So you can see I have 4 units here that each have 7 action points. The biggest difference, like I was saying, between this game and the board game is I can activate this unit to do something, and then I can choose a different unit to activate, and then I can choose a different unit to activate. So you're not required to spend all the action points for the unit that you have activated. Unlike the board game, it would just logistically be very complex to try to keep track of all the action points for all your different units. So in the board game, you're basically spending all the points for this unit you activate, and then you're moving on to another unit. Because the computer's keeping track of all this information, it's a lot easier, and I can click on a unit and then activate it and then move on to another unit. So just for logistics and ease of play, the board game doesn't have this, at this point, it does not have this part into the board game. Just logistically, like I said, it would be very difficult to keep track of all your action points for all your different guys. Not only do you have action points for your guys, but one of the things that makes this system very interesting and unique is up here in the top right hand corner. You actually have what they call caps, which are basically your command action points. And what that is basically your your unit's training and its ability to communicate and get orders passed along and a whole bunch of different things. And basically, you use these command action points as points that you can distribute to your units. Again, once a unit is finished using his 7 action points, it's not technically done because I could use command action points to actually give those points to the unit to allow it to, in this case, if it costs 3 for us to fire, you can see that because I have 7 action points, I could fire twice, which would cost me 6 action points, and I'd be left with 1 action point. I could then spend 2 command action points and give them to this unit, which would then, with his 1 left over, plus the 2 new ones, it would give him 3, so he could then fire again. So these command action points can be used for a variety of things, and they are lost at the end of the turn, and then you regenerate them at the beginning of the next turn. But you lose 1 command action point for each of your eliminated units. So damaging and destroying your opponent's units, not only do you remove them off the map, but it also reduces the amount of command action points that they receive. So one of the things you can do is actually convert your command action points into regular action points. The second thing you can actually do is convert your command action points into rolling bonus. You can only do this twice, I believe, is the maximum. And basically, that's just going to give you a +1 or +2, depending on how many command action points you spend, into your attack roll. You must spend those before you make your attack roll, and it's going to give you a bonus to try to get a successful hit on your opponent. You will notice you also can use those here. You can spend command action points to give you a bonus to your initiative for the next turn. Initiative is randomly determined by a dice roll, so you can actually spend command points to give you a bonus if you really think you want to have the initiative the next turn. You also have several special command action cards, and based on the scenario, you'll start with a certain number of action cards, and I believe you gain 1 action card every turn. And basically, it's going to, for your action, it allows you to do something else. In this case, it's going to allow any unit to take 1 action at no cost. Actions would be firing or moving or rallying when your unit becomes damaged and has a chit, a damage chit on it. You could try to rally that unit, so you could spend that card if this unit was out, because it cost 5 command action points to rally your units. You can actually, if you like, you can switch it over into a actual chits from the board game. Let's see if I can get a better, there we go, a little bit better view of this. And so if you like those as well, all the numbers and stuff that relate to this information are on the chit counters as well. If you're familiar with the board game or played the board game, then these would look very familiar to you, and kind of has a really nice aspect to it. I personally like both of them very, very much. I like the 3D units. I also like the chits as well. I like both of them, so I just play with a little bit here and a little bit there. Like I said, I don't have any preferences. So let's get right into it. You can actually spend command action points to, or command action points. You can actually spend action points to do a hasty defense. Basically, you're going to try to dig your unit in. And so let's show you how the game plays out. The enemy's going to be over here somewhere. We only see ones that are in line of sight. The green shows us our line of sight. So obviously the terrain's being blocked here, or there could have a unit right here in this bunch of trees, and we wouldn't see it because these trees are blocking that view. So I'm going to click on this unit. It's going to be surrounded with a green, how about a yellow circle to show you which unit's selected. You always want to make sure your unit's selected. Facing, you can see that this green bar at the front shows you which 3 hexes you're facing. This is the hex I'm facing. This is also a facing hex. And of course, these 3 would back. So I can move into any one of these 3 hexes. You notice when I do that, I have to adjust the arrow to show which hex side that I am going to move into. So it costs me 1 to move into this hex, but when I do a movement, I can actually turn and face any way for free. Unlike if you don't move, if I just wanted to rotate this unit to a different facing, I can do that. And you notice what I do is stretch out my arrow so there's no tail to it, just the head of the arrow, and I could adjust my facing. So if I wanted to adjust my facing from, say, this way over to this way, I could do that, and you notice it's just the head of the arrow, and I would click and it would rotate my unit. But in this case, I do want to move my unit. I am the attacker. If I don't do anything, if I just sit back here the whole scenario, and the Russian player just sits back in his thing for the whole scenario, he's going to get 1 victory point each turn. He'll win 5-0. So we can't obviously allow that to happen. So we're going to move up. And you notice we have a nice arrow here, and we click, and it's going to cost us, oops, we got a right click, and it's going to move up our unit. Now that we've done that, the enemy gets to do an activate a unit. It has decided to activate his his maximum machine gun over there, which has a range of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I just went into his range. He took a shot, and you notice he has hit me. All this information is down here in your little chat bar. Basically, he rolls an 8, modified by 4 for his gun size. In fact, if we let's click off our unit here. If we click on the machine gun, we can find out the information that we know about that unit. If it has a chit, a damaged chit, you cannot know what the damaged chit is. It'll just be like line question marks. But he's got a firepower of 3 against soft targets. Unit rolls an 8 modified by 4. Okay, when you're moving and getting shot, I did not mention that, but there's 2 types of moving. You can either move recklessly, where you're just moving your units, which costs you a normal movement allowance, or you can move cautiously, but it costs you 1 extra movement point to make that move. So he gets a +1 because I'm moving recklessly, +3 because of his attack power, gives him a bonus of 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. And if we click back on our unit, you will see that he had shot me through my face armor, my front side, and I have an armor value of 12. So his value equal or exceeded my total defense, and so he had successfully done his attack. And I've now got a random chit that is drawn out and given to my unit. Units become pinned and coward and berserk, and there's even a chit that will automatically kill your unit as well. So in this case, I got you can see down here, I am pinned. It also gives you a rally number. We had talked about once a unit becomes damaged. If it becomes damaged again, it's automatically killed. There is no another chit draw. It's just automatically killed. I can spend points to rally my unit, which costs 5 command points, and I would need to roll a 7 or better on 2 6-sided dice. Everything in this game, I believe, is 2 6-sided dice, and so you can just see if I need to roll 7 or better, I've got about a 56% chance of success on that, and I can actually spend one of my units cards here. Alright, here's a rally attempt. Allows the selected damaged unit to make a free rally attempt. So we're going to click on that. We're going to click on our unit, and we're going to try a rally attempt, and it failed. Unfortunately, the card is done, and so there you go. Because that didn't actually cost me an action, this one does cost me an action. The other one didn't say action, so I believe I rolled. What did I roll on this? I rolled a 3 when I needed to roll a 7 or higher, so not good. So what I'm going to do here is, you notice I've got my units highlighted, but because he's pinned, you notice my movement here is basically 0. If I try to click on another hex to move, it won't actually let me move because my unit's pinned. Some of them will cost you more action points to fire. Some of them will give you lower defense. It just depends on the chit draw that you get. In this case, everything that's in pink is new, and this just shows me I have no movement. So the only thing I can do with this guy is either rally him, or I can switch over to another unit and move him. The only thing is, you don't want to keep your units with damage counters on them if you can at all possible, because if this guy shoots him again and is successful, he will kill him. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to spend my other card here, which allows the unit to take 1 action at no cost, but it does cost me an action. So I'm going to click on that. I got my units selected. I could fire, or if he was in range, or I could, move, but in this case I can't move. But I'm going to try to rally. These cards are really good for rally because rallying takes 5 points, so you could save. Oh, I failed again. He rolled a 6 this time. So I guess we're going to move on to another unit. The computer must be passing, so we're going to move this guy there. Costs 1 moving point. Again, we're moving recklessly, so if we get attacked, they're going to get a +1 to their attack. But it'll save us action points, so we do need to move up. So 1 to go there. You notice we started at 7, went to 6, now we're at 5. We move in here, it'll go to 4. Here we'll go to 3. Here we'll go to 2. And we really like to get into this tree hex, but remember, we do have 2 action points left, so we can do that. And we'll move in there. And you see this pink bar now? That shows that the pink bar represents, when you play the board game, the counter is flipped upside down, and it has a pink stripe on it. That just shows you that that action is done doing his actions, or has used all of his action points up. But don't forget, we do have command action points. So if we really, really wanted to get risky, we could spend a couple action points to try and have this unit run out and grab this. This guy here has got 6 action points left, because remember, we moved it 1 hex, which costs us 1 movement point. Then we spent a couple command cards on it, but we haven't actually spent any of its command, or we haven't actually spent any of its action points. So it has 6 action points left. We are going to try to rally with, which will cost us 5. And there we go. Now we've got a success. But we went from 6 action points down to 1 action point. So we're going to try to get this guy behind the trees. And you notice he's now flipped over. He's got no action points left. We have another rifle squad here. We're going to just bring this guy up as well. You can put multiple units into hex, but I believe in this you can only have 1 on each facing side. So basically, you could have a unit in a hex facing this way, you could have a unit facing this way, you could have a unit facing this way. The problem with that is when you attack, you're attacking not a specific unit but a hex. And so if you were to attack in a hex that had multiple units, you would get all those units damaged if it's successful, depending on their, multiple units might have different attack or defensive values. So if you rolled a total of, say, 11, then you might hit 1 unit, but you might not hit a different unit. But anyways, everybody in the hex gets attacked. So we have another light machine gun. We're going to use this guy. 1, 2, 3. This is a light wood, so it's going to cost us nothing extra. It's going to cost us 1 to move in there, and we're going to do that. And we're going to do this. And you notice it's down to 2 action points left. The light machine gun is only costs 2 to fire, unlike the rifle squad. If you look at the rifle squad costs 3 to fire. The rifle squads cost 3 to fire. The light machine guns only cost 2 to fire. So in this case, you can only fire through your front facing, and you can see here that I've got a line of sight to this guy. It gives me a 27% chance to hit. Remember, you can spend your command points to add +1 to your dice roll. So I will spend 1, and we will go up to a 41% chance of hit. If I spend an extra 1, so I'm spending 2 of them, it's going to go up to 58% chance because of the bell curve of the 2d6. So I will take that attack, and I have rolled a 6, plus a 6 is 12, but he's got a defense of 13 because he's in light woods. So if we click on his unit, you can see he normally has a, oops, come on, there we go. He normally, I can't move my mouse, but you'll just have to look at in the Soviet Rifle Squad sheet there. He's got a defense of 12 through his front, and he's going to get a +1 because he's in light woods. So that light woods saved his unit there. So let's see, this guy still has 4 movement points left. We're going to move him. Oops. All right, so I rotated him. And I did not actually mean to do that, but that's fine. And now he's only got 1 movement point left. And you notice when I go to move, I can't move into this hex because it costs me 1 extra. I can move into these 2 hexes because they're blue, but I don't want to move into that hex. So what I have to do is, with my unit still selected, just hit the button to convert, and you'll notice I now have 2 movement points, or 2 command action points. So I will move in there. And so now this unit is flipped over because he's upside down. This guy's, all of my units are flipped over and upside down because I've used all of their action points. But remember, I have 5 more command action points that I can use at any time during the turn. I could use them right off the bat. But it's best to use these in situations that really give you... when you really need them, I guess, because you never get them back until the start of the next turn, and using them willy-nilly is not advisable. So what I'm going to do here is, what is this? The guy's a rifle squad. Here's a light machine gun. Because our light machine gun only costs 2 to fire, as opposed to our rifle squad, which costs 3 to fire, it's more advantageous to get my light machine gun firing. So I will click it twice, and give it 2 action points, and you can see that I can now target the enemies. He's in the open, that's giving us a better chance of damaging him. So I will add 1 command point. In this game, the whole system is very easy to understand. You're basically adding your firepower plus any bonuses against the defender's defensive value, plus any terrain bonuses, and you're trying to roll 2d6 and roll that number higher. So it's not very complex, but it's all about manipulating the numbers to use them for the best the best way you can. So in this case, I have 3 command action points left. I know it costs 2 action points for this guy to fire, which is going to give me 1 action point left. So what I want to do is use these numbers to the best of my ability. 1 action point left is only going to let me move a unit 1 free clear space. So if I spend 2 command points to activate this guy to fire, it's going to leave me with 1 command point left. Well, 1 command point left is only going to let me move into a clear hex. I could move this rifle squad into a clear hex. This rifle squad couldn't move up here because it costs 2 to move into that hex. And this rifle squad could move out in the open, but I'm not going to do that because that's just stupid. So the best thing for that 1 action point left is basically going to give me a bonus to my attack. So let's see if we can wound this guy first. Nope. We've rolled a 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 is less than his 12, so we have missed. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do is give him 2 more command points. So now we can fire again. And we got 1 command point left. And remember, we can move 1 unit into a clear space or a lightly wooded space, because they only cost 1. But in this case, moving this unit up 1 space is not as tactically sound as giving him a bonus to the attack. So let's do that. And alright, so with our final attack for the round, we finally got a hit, and he's been damaged. You can see when we click on his unit, we don't know what the damage is. We rolled a 9 on our attack, plus 5 is 14. That is better than or equal to his defense of 12. And if you ever beat a unit by 4 or more points, then they are instantly killed. It's like basically like a critical hit. So if you can ever get really high number, 4 points higher, then you can try to wipe a unit out. So that's another reason why command points to attack is not a bad strategy. But when you're using them to attack, then you're not using them to help move your units around the map and etc. So it's all about manipulating your resource, and the resource in this game is your action points for your units, and it's also the command action points, and manipulating and figuring out the best way to use those points. So we are done. Everybody's spent. We have no command action points left, and we're just going to pass. The computer's going to pass, and so what's going to happen is round 2 is going to start, and he had reinforcements. So he's brought these reinforcements on somewhere, and hopefully that will start the round. And it'll also tell you here we've won initiative starting in round 2, and they placed 3 reinforcements. Okay, so now we are starting turn 2. You notice we've gone up here to round 2, or turn 2 I guess I should say. The Russian player has 1 point. We have 0 points. Nobody's killed one another at this point yet, but the Russian player has 1 point for the victory point hex. So what we're going to try to do, click on this guy. We could try to kill him because he's already wounded, and we got initiative. Now's our chance to jump on this guy before he has a chance to rally. In fact, if we add 2 command points, it goes from 41 to 72% chance. So let's try to kill this guy, which we did. We rolled a 7 plus 6, which is our firepower plus our command points we added in there, which is higher than the 12 the Russian player's defense was. And so since it was already wounded, the unit has been removed. Alright, so let's see here. We're going to move this unit up here. He's kind of ducking back into cover there because he knows that let's bring this guy out in the open. Yes, it's out in the open and he can be shot. The advantage for us is we can try to grab this. Okay, well, fortunately for us, he missed. You can go backwards, but I believe it costs you extra movement points to do that. I think it's double the amount of movement points. So in this case, instead of going into our front facing, we can go into our back facing, but I believe it's going to cost us double the amount of movement points. So in this case, now we're going to go forward here and go in the light woods hex. Alright, he's moving units back here. Oh, and the only reason we see this is because we now have a line of sight back there. He had a different unit that probably moved behind these trees and we can't see it. Fortunately for us, we can see this unit, so we know he's bringing up other units. I think what I might try to do is move this guy while I get a chance over here to help protect. Now again, you don't have to continue with the same unit. You can click on any different unit you want, I could then move this guy. But in this case, I want to try to get this guy in as the cover as soon as possible. So now he's got a nice view of anybody that's trying to come up this way. We'll use the rifle squad here. We're going to move into that hex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, see a guy that's trying to come over that way. 7. Notice it's now spent, but we can spend a command point to move it up this way. We're trying to secure this objective. You notice our victory points has changed. We have killed one of them, and they had 1 for the victory points. So right now it's tied score 1-1. The rest of our units, let's see here. We have 5 command points. This guy has 4 left. You can actually pass. There's a pass button, and you can actually pass for the rest of the turn. If all your units are spent, you don't have any command points left, you can just click on pass entire turn. Or you can just click on the pass button, which will then just pass your turn. If you click on the pass button and your opponent decides to pass, the round ends. So you can't always just assume that, well, if I pass, I'll be able to do this later on in the turn. You can't do that because maybe your opponent might just say, you know what, all right, I passed too. And so then at that point, you know, then a new round starts and you won't get to do whatever you had thought about doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's outside our range, so we can't attack with this guy. So I think we will pass. Oh, and that's exactly what happened. We do have 1 squad that's coming in this turn. It's Pioneer Squad. It comes in the back corner here. You know what? We're going to try and bring him in right there. Okay, he has 1 initiative, and he decided to use his maximum machine gun to try to damage our unit, but he was unsuccessful. He rolled a total of 8 versus our 13. And you notice we are now winning the game because we had a victory point at the end of the turn for holding this objective. And so we're going to use this guy back here. They have a 4 firepower, but they only have a range of 3, so they're kind of using short-range weapons, but they have a lot of firepower. So we have a 58% chance because we are shooting in the flank defense of this guy, which is going to be one of the 3 hexes on his backside. We could actually spend a command point or a couple command points and make this a really good attack. It does cost him 4 to fire though, so we'll add 1 in there. It goes up to 72%, and I think 72 is good. Let's try that. Alright, so he's still shooting. Okay, so what happened here was we rolled a 9, plus our 5 is 14. He only had a defense of 11 on his backside. So 14, if we would have added that second command point, we would have actually killed that unit because we would have beat his defense by 4 if we would have had 1 extra command point there. But you have to decide before you attack. But we do have a second attack on this guy now, so we're going to try to kill this unit. Yes, which has given us another victory point. Excellent. Alright, we got a really good defensive perimeter around this objective hex. We got our light machine gun set up. We got our rifle squads out here in front. We got a pioneer squad that's coming around from the backside. Everything's looking good. He rolled a 6 plus 3 firepower against our 13 defense. It's a 13 defense because our unit has a 12 in the front. He shot through the front, but we are in light woods, which gives us +1 cover. So 12 plus 1 is 13. So he needs to have a 13. He only rolled a total of 9. So let's see. This guy is out of action. No, he's got. What has he got? He's got 2 action points left. All right, let's bring him. Let's bring him, I think we're going to bring him around behind this machine gun here. Going to try anyways. That's a goal. Alright, so he is passed. This guy's out of action points. No, he's actually got one left, so we're going to move him right there. Now he's out of action points because of the pink bar. Let's see. He is going to be out of action points for everything. I don't know about his command points, his command action points. But at this point, you can almost risk moving units around because if he doesn't have action points to spend, he can't shoot at you. The only thing he might have left is some command action points. And getting into positions to flank your opponent, shoot him in the back, or even moving up adjacent to him. Adjacent, I believe, gives you a +3 when you're adjacent to a unit. And if you're adjacent and behind him, you're going to get a +3 for being adjacent, +1 for shooting him in his flank. It might be +2 when you're adjacent. I'm not exactly 100% sure. He's got 7 action points. Let's show you how this is done then. So we're gonna bring this guy here. We're gonna oh, he does have a guy over here that came into view. So if we shot him, it'd be a 27% chance.
Yeah, Herr Hauptmann.
And oops, I clicked on the wrong button. I gave him an action point. So okay, we missed. Oh, he moved up, but we got another. He's in harder cover now. So we're gonna add 2 to our. Really, there we go. We've got a new cards here as well as a unit to take 1 action at no cost, and give you an extra 1d6 APs. Okay. So let's click on this unit and let's give him some APs. So he's got 3 action points. This might work out. Maybe not. We'll see. So we're going to move him up here. And then we're going to move him there. And now he's adjacent and he's shooting this guy in the flank. Unfortunately, it costs him 2 to fire. So if we give him another action point. There we go. 72% chance. There we go. He's been damaged. Alright, so here's the bonus here. Close range is 2. Let's see. Flank attack versus non-armored. +3 close range. What's his firepower? Is a 4 and 3 is 7. Okay, so flank attack versus unarmored. Close defense, or close range attack, -2 terrain modifier. Okay, well, so we can give this guy enough command points to fire, but this guy still has 6. So what we're gonna do is move him in there, and we're gonna. Well, it cost me. What's this guy cost to fire? It costs him 3 to fire. So we're actually going to bring this guy. We're going to risk it. We're going to move him up front because 3 command points is what we need to fire. If we would have went into the deeper woods, we would only have 2 action points left. Now we could have spent our command point. So still only a 27% chance to hit. Let's spend our last command point on that shot. And oh, he misses. But now we've got this guy surrounded. This guy is damaged, and we have a unit here that has 7 action points. So let's see if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this here. Well, let's just go right in front of him. 27. Missed. What we should have done was moved over here first. Oh, well, now we know where all of his units are at. Okay. He's got a couple, with this guy, he's got a couple action points left. Excellent. We got that. So he rolled a 10 plus 4 against his 14 defense because he was in the thick woods plus his 12. But that's exactly what we needed, and he's got 2 more action points, but he's got nothing, so we'll pass. He has 7 action points, but can he see anybody? Let's see. Let's click on him. Oh, he's only got a 2% chance of hitting, but can he shoot this guy? Nope. Must be these trees block line of sight there. Alright. Well, first thing we could try to do is maybe move up here. Still only has a 2% chance to hit. Alright, well. He's in that woods. I'll just pass. No sense in... I guess I could have taken new shots at 2%, 2%. Alright, so we want initiative, which is important because we got this guy that's getting overrun by these 2 units. Click on him. We can move him, or we can shoot this guy. He is in our front facing. It's a 27, but then he's gonna. These 2 guys are gonna shoot. So what I would actually do is, move into this hex and then turn around. All right, this guy's shooting at somebody and missed. That's a good. This guy we're gonna bring in and flank this guy in the back. He tried to rally and failed. That's beautiful. So now we're gonna shoot him. 58. Do we waste our caps and try to get a better shot than 58? I say no. Alright. And now he's played a card, marked unit as used. Light machine gun 34, which is this guy here. That's number 1. So he basically wasted all these guys' command points. Or spent all those guys' command points anyways. Alright, we're going to bring this guy up here. Okay, he moved in adjacent to me. Now he's going to pay the price. And we got a 27% chance. What I think I'll do is kind of flank him in the back again. Alright. 27, 27. But we do have this machine gun here. We can't see because of this tree here. There is all sorts of options over here on the right hand side. We didn't even talk about these. You can turn the dice camera on or off, show your 3D units, change the camera to normal view, system preferences, game history, combat statistics, display the firefight map. Oops, get off. I guess I gotta click it to get rid of it. Save the game. And you can actually hide the menu if you don't like the menu. Alright, well, let's see what we can do here. We got this machine gun. Still shooting him in the front side. Only gives us a 16% chance. So what we might want to try to do is bring these guys, flank these guys. Oh, he used command points to move there. Now he's in light terrain, so it's going to be, he doesn't have as good defense. But what I'm going to do is move this guy right there. Now if he comes out here, see, we scared him. He was going to try to make a run out here, I believe, for the victory point hex, but when he was there, he knows that he's surrounded and flanked and all sorts of great things for us. So, let's see, this guy's still got a 3 fire to shoot. 27, 27, so it doesn't really matter. I rolled a 5 and missed. This guy decided to move back out. Well, we can shoot this guy. We still got our 8 command points left. Let's see here. We shot him. Hopefully he's used up all of his command points. What I think I'm going to do is just move this guy right out there. I'm going to risk. Use his command points to shoot at this guy. I missed. Now I'm adjacent to him. I got a 58% chance. We're going to add a point. Now I'm up to 72. Now he's damaged. He attacked back here and missed. So if we can hit this guy again, 27, let's add a command point in there. Missed. Okay, he's moving his units over there. We still have plenty of command points over here. We'll add 1 to to our attack. There it is. That's what I wanted to see. Then we're going to take this guy and give it a command point so it can move into the terrain to help. This guy's still got a couple command points. We'll move him there and then move him there. He's got one unit left. None of our units are damaged. We're up 7-1. This scenario's in the bag, ladies and gentlemen. We are, what can we do here? Allows the unit to take an action at no cost. Allows the unit to take an action at no cost. These are really good cards for rallying because, like I said, rallying costs 5 action points. Very, very high amount. So let's pass. Oh, I forgot to use my caps. Didn't need them. That's alright.
Jawohl.
Alright, well, let's look at...
Soldat.
Can I shoot? 27% chance. Well, let's
Jawohl.
try to move adjacent. Let's try to flank this guy and make him have a really bad day. So he decides to do nothing. He decides to do nothing. He still decides to do nothing.
Ja, Kamerad.
Now we'll shoot him from the backside.
Soldat.
This guy's just going to run out here. We're going to try to end this scenario right here. It is. We'll pass, and that'll end it. 10 victory points. Soviets 1. You can look at the units, who killed what. You can go back and look at the map again to kind of analyze where your units were at. It'll actually tell you which units had how many kills they had. Let's see here. Shows you the different times you've played, I'm assuming. Game score kind of by turn, I believe, here. And units and map and everything. So there you go. So this is Conflict of Heroes. Like I said, this is a board game converted into computer game. It's a tactical World War II. There are tanks, there are mortars, there's all sorts of stuff when you get into some of the other later scenarios. The first couple scenarios, at least for the original scenarios, are pretty easy, but you can look at, if we look at, say, the monsters here, see if there's some different units. There should be, there are tanks and vehicles, and we'll play that. Yeah, sure. Alright, so you can see here we are looking at all sorts of great things here. We got, we have, oops, let's zoom out. Actually, let's go back to this view here. We got Panzer IIs, we have, let's see what else we have here. We have Panzer IVs, we have APC carriers, we have a anti-tank Pak 36 gun, we got trucks to move them around. What else do we have here? Another Panzer II. Here in this scenario here, we have objectives here on the hill. This objective is scored on turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one here is only scored on Ally score 4, Axis score 4, and only on turn 5. So at the end of the scenario, who owns this gets 5 victory points. And same thing with this one. So it looks like German player is trying to break through his front lines and eventually get back there within 5 turns. The Soviets do have some reinforcements after a couple turns there. And doesn't look like the German players has any. We have 9 command points to start with, and again, they're cards, and just like all the other scenarios. Let's see, let's go back to the unit counters here really quick so you can check out the unit counters. I do love the unit counters. I'm glad they put that into the game.
Superfehl.
So again, basically works as the same thing, except for you're going to be targeting either the blue, which is your armored vehicles, hard targets, or red, which is your soft targets. So if this guy was going to attack an armored unit, he's got a firepower 6. And if he's attacking a soft target, he's going to attack value 4. Let's see if we look at any of the Okay, here's an anti-tank gun. You can see he's got a attack value of 3 against 6 against blue targets or tanks, etc., etc. And there's more terrain types. There's walls you can hide behind or get cover from. And hills, I believe if you're on a hill, you actually get a +1 to your attack if you're shooting down from a hill. So there's a lot of other rules that come into play, and so to give you lots of different tactical strategy that you can employ. So here we go. That was the kind of a game overview. Now I'm going to give you my review. Personally, um, I am a board game, war game junkie, and anything that is board game is really, really something that I can get into. But I have tried many different types of board games that are on that you could download from different websites and such. And the thing that always bothers me is the graphics are awful, and I just can't play the game when they're that way. This game, personally, the game engine is really, really well designed. It does everything you want to do and more, and it looks really, really good. You can just tell when you click on a unit, it's actually giving you, a nice German phrases. The looks of the game is just, I mean, you can zoom right down to the units. You can see these guys are looking for enemies. You see these guys are not just static. They're kind of sitting around, and then they'll peek their heads up. And the looks of the vehicles. Let's see if we can rotate and check out the sides of these vehicles. Okay, here we go. Let's turn a little bit more. There we go. You can see you got commanders that are sticking out of the hatches. With you can tell they got little headphones on, or like a radio headphones so that they can communicate. Just the detail is really, really well designed. You can see they each have different numbers on the side of them. This is 01, this is A1. The trucks, you can see, I mean, they look like something that you would actually see from back in World War II. I mean, it's just, detail is just incredibly, and I'm not talking about just the German stuff, even the Soviet stuff. Excellent. I especially like, and I didn't show this to you when we played the other scenario, but the little rotating victory point things are just incredibly well detailed. And if you look at the German one, it actually has a different backing, and it looks like a pin, and it's just incredible. Just really nice done. So the game, graphically wise, is, I would give it 9.5 out of 10. The way it does everything in a neat, manageable system, all your buttons that you need, all the information you need is right there. The way that they have they show you what units you can see just by visibility wise, units you can attack into, the hexes you can enter into, the command point structure. I mean, just the way it's designed is just elegantly done. It's what I was hoping the game would look like, the way it would play like when I found out that they were actually going to be creating this game. I was kind of hoping it would be something just like that, and that's very good praise, very high praise. There are just some slight things that I would hope that they would take care of. Sometimes you can see that if I wanted to move this unit here, it's got the arrow with the line behind it. Okay, but if I wanted to rotate to this facing, I'm also almost in the same spot, and you notice that just by moving my mouse from here to there, it does two different things. This is going to move into that hex, and this is going to rotate to face that hex. And then my mouse is only just slightly in a different spot. So you have to really kind of watch if you're, getting ready to move units and click on the spot. You have to make sure you don't just move your mouse just before you click. Especially when you're right clicking, you kind of slide your mouse when you do the right clicks. You could slide it right over a little bit and cause your unit to rotate, and you didn't want it to rotate, and then you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened, and yada yada yada. And so just, oh, let's try smoke. Let's see what smoke looks like. Let's put smoke in this hex. There we go. Oh, so we destroyed right off the bat. He's got to roll to 10 plus his 6. And he drew the counter. Remember that counter I was telling you about? There are vehicle and foot destroyed. There's one counter that is just an auto kill, and that's the counter he drew. And so we can actually get to look at what broken vehicles look like, or destroyed vehicles, I guess I should say. And there they are. Wow, very nice, very nice. Anyways, so with that complaint is what I was saying is sometimes it can be rotating or moving is just barely any different. So it's I would like, I don't know, somehow to have that separated. If you want to rotate, maybe maybe you have to. I don't know. It can be kind of confusing. The guy I was playing with last night actually had a hard time with that, and he kept rotating his units when he wanted to move them, and so he was very frustrated. And I totally understand where he's coming from. As I played the last scenario, I rotated one of my guys when I didn't mean to. But with that was said, the rest of the interface is very well done. Oh, so we did it again. See, I went to attack this guy, and instead I rotated. So I didn't even mean to do that. Ay vey, 16%.
Panzer bereit.
This guy's only got 4 action points left. It costs 3 to attack. He should be able to. No.
Zum Befehl.
Hello. Oh, is he damaged?
Panzer bereit.
Maybe because the smoke is blocking line of sight. Ah, duh. Okay, that's too far away. That's too far away.
Zum Befehl.
8%, 16%.
Ja,
Let's throw a couple
Kamerad.
caps in there. Ah, missed. Of course. Nope, he's coming out of the smoke. Now we should be able to shoot him. 2%. So
Panzer
again,
bereit.
just like with infantry, it's all about getting those flank bonuses. Shooting tanks in the side, obviously, big advantage. Bonus 1. Okay, well, let's rotate there, I guess. Oh, he doesn't have enough command points left. Yeah, duh. So yeah, it's the review part. I was just trying to show you a little bit more. Graphic-wise, 9.5. Awesome effort into that. Interface-wise, I'm going to give it a 9 interface-wise, just because of that little problem with the rotating your units as opposed to moving your units. And that's something I'm sure you learned when you play the game, play a couple scenarios. You'll stop doing that. The left click, right click thing is, left click to move, and I'm sorry, right click to move, left click to fire. Can be kind of confusing. So I wish they had like a little button over here that maybe when you go to fire, you click on the fire button and then you can attack or something, because you find yourself left clicking and right clicking, and it can be, again, it's just something to get used to in the system, but it can be kind of frustrating if you're trying to move and you accidentally go and fire, or the other way. So, but besides these slight little minor things, graphically, or the infrastructure, awesome. The fact that you have multiplayer, that you can play with other players, that you can get with other people and play against human players. The fact that you can download extra scenarios, awesome. But the multiplayer capabilities it's almost a must-have for this game. and because just so many people I think can be involved and like this game. So multiplayer, we had no problems whatsoever, so I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10 for the multiplayer aspect of it. You do need to have an account to log in, obviously, but that's just like every other thing. So overall, excellent tactical strategy game. It's not complex. Once you understand, you're just taking your attack firepower and subtracting it from their defensive firepower and rolling 2 dice and trying to get that total or higher. It's not complex, but it's all about manipulating your action points and your command action points to the best of your ability. If you got leftover action points on some of your units at the end of the turn, then you've not maximized your resource, which is your command action points and your action points for your different units. Understanding, okay, what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to move here, and then it costs me 3 to fire. 5 plus 3 is 8. I only start with 7, so I have to have a command action point to do this. And if I spend a command action point to do that, then it's going to leave me with 1 less. So understanding that and using those to the best of your ability so that you can use all your command action points and all your action points for units the best way is the whole understanding the system. It's the whole part of it, and it's just brilliant how everything works together and makes it a very tactical game without adding extra rules and extra problems and all sorts of I will understand why this was and how did this happen and blah blah blah. So overall, I am giving this game probably the highest score that I have given any game review that I have done at this point. I'm going to give this game a 9.5 out of 10. Yes, 9.5 out of 10. It is. I cannot recommend this game highly enough to you guys. If you are into World War II tactical strategy games, this is an absolute must-buy. If you enjoy war games, if you enjoy strategy games, if you enjoy anything like that, this is an absolute positive has to get. And I would also recommend that if you enjoy this computer version, definitely get on the Academy Games website or wherever and order a copy of the board game. You will not be disappointed. The quality components of the board game are just as you can see with the chits here, they are incredibly detailed. The map board is a mounted, there we go, a hard map board. So I can tell you that you will be thoroughly impressed with the board game as well. It is a solid game. It's well put together. The graphics are awesome, and just like the computer version, it's the system is very interesting and very complexity in how the action point works. But understanding the core aspect of rolling 2d6 is not that hard. So, but it brings a lot of tactical and strategy into each scenario. There's lots of scenarios in this, like I said, and you can see that there's a wide variety of different units, many different units. So definitely 9.5 out of 10. Highly recommend this. Definitely a must buy for 2012 going into 2013. Absolutely. Please do leave your thoughts and comments and suggestions if you have any, and let me know if you do purchase this game or if you have purchased this game and played this game. Let me know what your thoughts of it is. So let me know if you've seen anything. I haven't even gone into a lot of the other rules. There's group movement where you can move your units as a group. There's a line of sight in here where you can actually check to see line of sight on things, and it's just incredibly well done. Very impressed compared to some of the other war games that have come out, just that don't have as much attention to the detail and as much interest for me. This game definitely does everything that I was hoping it would do, and it looks absolutely wonderful, which is going to be a bonus. If I'm going to be sitting here playing a game, I want to be able to go, wow, look at that, it's really nice. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, look at this, you know. And when I tell my friends about it, I want them to go, wow, that was a really cool game. It really looks good, and blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to play a crappy looking game. So there you go. That is it. Conflict of Heroes. Let's go back to the main menu just to take a look. I think I talked about everything I needed to talk to. Again, credits. Western Civilization Software, I believe they're the ones that actually designed the game. Matrix Games is where you can purchase, or Slytherin. Either one of them are kind of, I think, hooked up together. They work together now. I think they're kind of united. And Academy Games was the original designer of the board game. Definitely buy the board game. If you love this, you can find people to play. You can sit down and play a scenario, and maybe some of the smaller scenarios, we're talking half an hour to an hour max, and some of the bigger scenarios you're talking 1 to 2 hours. So it's not a big, long, lengthy game. It's easy, it's quick, and it's very interesting. So definitely check out the board game. Definitely check out the computer game. The whole thing, 9.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching it. Leave your thoughts and comments. And let me know what you think of it. And we'll be talking to you soon. This is ID Jester signing off.